Hey, this is Sanyam Bhutani, and you're listening to Chai Time Data Science, a podcast for data science enthusiasts where I interview practitioners, researchers, and Kagglers about their journey, experience, and talk all things about data science. Hello and welcome to another episode of Chai Time Data Science Show, the show bringing you interview with my machine learning heroes for some quarantine content. In this episode, I interview Yauhen Babakhin, Kaggle Grandmaster and data scientist at H2.ai. We talk about Yauhen's roots in Belarus, and I try to uncover some secrets of his approaches to Kaggle competition and his approach to AutoML. We discuss a lot about how Yauhen approaches problems, how he finds ideas, and how he iterates upon them. We also cover an interesting area that Yauhen has contributed to via Kaggle, which is academia. Their team's winning solution got published. You can find the link to the preprint in the description of this podcast. We also discuss another aspect which Kaggle led to for Yauhen, which was teaching. He has taught a course at DataCamp. You can also find that linked in the description of this. This episode is based on two different resources, or is a continuation of two different things. It's a continuation of Parul Pandey's amazing interview. So please read that before watching this or listening to this one. It's also continuation of Yauhen's talk at H2O World, which you can also find linked in the description, or you can read it in a blog, which I was really lucky to co-author with him. Without further ado, here's the conversation all about Kaggle, AutoML, and computer vision. Please enjoy the show. To the best of my knowledge, the only Grandmaster from Belarus, Yauhen Babakhin. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. So I'm happy to be here.
Really excited about this interview. So I want to start by talking about your country, because I think you're still the only Grandmaster from there. Belarus has beautiful architecture. There are a few castles there. I looked this up. The Mir Castle, Neswiss Castle, and it's an agricultural based economy. What's the data science scene like there?
Yes, so I mean, like the country is very, very beautiful. So as you said, there are like lots of castles, and the nature is like, yeah, it is really, really nice there, like to travel among the Belarus and like sightseeing and making some sightseeing. And like unfortunately, like there is like not very like a lot of like historical like buildings, because like there were like all the buildings were like the majority of buildings were rebuilt after the world wars. Mm-hmm. So it is like more like a modern country right now. Yeah, and so speaking of like of their like data science and IT sectors, we have like a special like a kind of like cluster in Belarus. So it is called like high tech park. Okay. So the idea is like it is a special cluster for the IT companies. They have some like kind of reduce in their taxes. And they have like a special like kind of like yes, like special area where they're located, and it is somehow similar to the Silicon Valley. So there are also like lots of different companies and a lot of IT guys, and it allows to like to grow as a community for their Belarusian computer scientists, and in particular for data scientists. So there are like opening some like university programs, university courses, and yeah, like now like I guess students are dreaming about like becoming a computer scientist or data scientist. So okay. And also they are creating lots of like different startups, and including like AI startups. So again, it allows to like to try different projects, and like the job market in data science is pretty huge. So I mean, like you could select among like it is not just a single like job opportunity. It is kind of like 10 or 15 like, simultaneously in the market. So you could try like in different areas, and yeah, it allows like some kind of competitiveness between companies. So they're looking for like best talents, and it allows to grow for the community. So yeah, I would say it is like pretty mature, and it is evolving like each year. And moreover, like Belarus is becoming like attractive for persons abroad. So I mean, like we have a couple of data scientists coming from Russia to work in Belarus, because like it is like it is more interesting for them to work in Minsk in Belarus rather than, for example, in Moscow or in St. Petersburg.
Great. And I wanted to point to the question that how's the Kaggle community there? How did you discover Kaggle, and did you have a community when you were starting out, or was your experience based on ODS where you were active?
Yes, so basically, like I started computing on Kaggle like completely alone. So and I mean like and started learning data science alone. So I didn't know about like these communities or something like that. And like I get to know like open data science community after like I guess a year experience in data science.
Okay.
And after my first medals on Kaggle. So during some conference, someone shared like this link to the community, and only afterwards I joined it. And so it was like a nice experience to like get to know that there is like a huge data science community where you could ask the questions, share the experience, and everything else. And also like it allowed to like organize some offline meetings. So I mean like we have some like a special unit of open data science in Minsk, where like people are meeting like during some meetups or during some breakfasts, like, and discussing some ideas, some experiences. Yeah, and it is pretty valuable. So, and afterwards also have like meetups after like someone is winning the Kaggle competition or like getting some top positions. They're sharing their experience, like preparing slides and like making this like offline meetings. And so it is even more valuable. So I mean like not just like writing some messages online, but like speak person to person. So yeah, it was valuable, but as I said, like I started without it, and it was a nice bonus to join such a community.
I was secretly hoping you would mention that there are some meetings over chai also, but looks like there aren't.
Yeah.
What are your favorite channels in ODS? You're pretty active there. Many people don't speak Russian, but the community is open to that. I'm a fan of it, but they usually don't find the right channels in the community. If you could just point those out.
Yeah, so basically I'm following maybe like 4 or 5 channels like constantly, because like it is like
It's a
as any
hyperactive
like
community.
yeah exactly. So as in data science, like some sources or like news, it is hard to follow for everything, and it is the same for this channel. So because there is like lots of different information in different areas in computer vision, in NLP, in like tabular data. And so basically I'm following like, of course, the Kaggle Crackers channel. So it is kind of like discussing some new competitions on different platforms, not only on Kaggle, and also like discussing some like achievements of the community. Also, I'm following a deep learning channel. So it is like kind of like their, I guess, the most valuable from this like technical standpoint for me. So I mean like because there are some kind of discussions about like day-to-day problems. So someone is asking the question, and like lots of people are responding from their experience. And like usually, even if I have some question, instead of going to Google and like ask Google about it, I go to Open Data Science like Slack channel and open the search and try to search there, because like it allows like to find their answer like faster, and it will allow you not to like just to look through some basic like solutions to problems, but like to get like some real experience from people who were like solving these problems, and it is more like valuable. And so I'm also like following their interesting links channel. It is kind of like just to keep up with the news, because like if there is like something interesting on you coming up on data science, like you will see it like in 5 or 10 minutes in this channel. So you don't have to like to follow all the like, I don't know, 100 different sources, so it is just a single like entry point.
They
So
have two emojis there, slow versus savage.
yeah,
Put
yeah,
on the
yeah.
channel.
Yeah, exactly. So and yeah, that's basically it. So maybe yeah. So I'm also sometimes following the career channel. So it is also, so I mean like this like channel is not I mean like this like community, open data science, is not only about like some technical details, but also about like your career path in data science. So it is always nice to read some other stories about like their path and their approaches, and like yeah, and get some experience in this area.
Okay. Now, coming back to the question about your journey, how did you then approach Kaggle, and how did you connect with the community? Was it just based on the forums, the Kaggle forums, or any other online community?
Yeah, so I started competing on Kaggle through the like online course. So it was EDX course. I guess it is still running. It is called the Analytics Edge, I guess. And so it is just like online course as a usual one, but they have like internal like Kaggle competition during their course among the participants. So it is just playground competition where you could like try to apply what you've learned in the course. And yeah, it was my first experience with Kaggle. And yeah, I was like just like running in this like closed community of the course, where like people were sharing some like what they've learned in the course and how did they apply it, how did they apply it. Yeah, and only afterwards, only after competing, after a couple of competitions, I started like to kind of like participate in Kaggle forum, or afterwards in the open data science. So I wouldn't say that I'm like an active member of any community. So I'm not a person who's writing lots of messages or something like that. So I'm more like about like following discussions, and only if I have like something like special to say, that then I will write a message. So I will think twice before writing the message. But yeah, but I'm following lots of discussions, and yeah, so I would say that I'm a part of Kaggle community and open data science community, but I'm not like the most active part of it.
The smartest people are always the best listeners.
Yeah, maybe.
When did you find that you'd really be interested in just compete? You also compete in other competitions, but when did you really find your passion for computer vision competitions, where you have also won, I think, two competitions?
So I mean, like initially, yeah, like I started on Kaggle like about 5 years ago. So there were no, I guess at that point, a lot of like computer vision competitions on the tabular data. So I started with tabular data. And my first experience was really like really bad. I mean, like during this course on EDX, I was really trying hard to climb the leaderboard, and I was about like in top 50 in the public leaderboard. I guess about 35th position, something like that. And I was really happy before they revealed the private leaderboard, and it occurred that I was like about like 500, something like that.
Okay.
So it was like a huge drop. And yeah, it was a nice lesson. And yeah, actually, like I'm approaching Kaggle more as a learning platform. So I'm not approaching it like as a performance, like like to get more medals or to get some points. I'm approaching it from the learning perspective. And like after a couple of tabular competitions, I've got my gold medal, first gold medal in tabular data. And I decided that I need some like new challenges, because like their tabular data was pretty much clear at that point. And so I started to participate in the computer vision competitions. And basically, like all my experience in computer vision comes from the Kaggle. So I mean, like well, of course, like I was like reading some books, and like when you start in some new area, you have to like read a lot, but you have also to like kind of like keep up with the practical skills in this area. And so Kaggle allowed me to like to apply this skills. Yeah, and it was kind of like like as a learning approach. And I still consider like Kaggle as a learning path. And so and I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of computer vision. So I'm like because like you have to wait for like long experiments. You have like huge data sets, and yeah, so it is kind of like getting you back in terms of like fast experimenting and trying like lots of different ideas. But some historically, I decided to join these computer vision competitions, and it started like to grow, and like Kaggle is also providing lots of like now computer vision competitions, and so it's kind of a combination of like this like learning idea and this like new trend in competitions.
So you've been active, I think, for 5 years now. Do you have any favorite battle stories from any competition? Any favorite memories?
Yes, one I have already shared. So it is about my first competition where I dropped on the private leaderboard. And probably like another one, it is also somehow connected to this learning path. So I mean, like after some computer vision competitions, I was participating in like image classification because it was like the easiest problem. I decided that I need to learn about like their segmentation problems, and there was a competition on semantic segmentation. And yeah, before joining the competition, I knew nothing about like segmentation. So of course I had some experience in computer vision, but I have never worked with the segmentation problems. Yeah, and I decided to participate, and like I was like really trying hard like for like about 1 or 2 months. And yeah, at that point, I like basically achieved my goal of like learning about segmentation. So like I get some practical skills. I read a lot of papers, and so like for planning on some like a real project, it was enough. But like I found myself at that point about like top 30 on the leaderboard, and I decided, okay, so it is like a nice position. So like I have to like push it forward and maybe like to get some medals or something like that. Yeah, and afterwards, like I also joined a team with merged a team with a guy from Japan. So his nick on Kaggle is Phalanx. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. So yeah, and we achieved the top 1 position on that competition, and we have won the money prize. And it is like a kind of like completely another like achievement. So in terms of like how you feel about it, so it is not just gold medal, so it is kind of like real prize, real money. So it was really nice experience. And as I said, the interesting part was that I've never like worked on these problem types, but during the 3 months and growing with this like Kaggle community during the competition, you are like learning lots of new stuff. And the same, as far as I know, the same holds for my teammate for Phalanx. So he was also like he had some experience in computer vision, but had no experience neither in Kaggle. So it was kind of like his second or third competition in Kaggle, nor in segmentation. So we were kind of two novices in this area and won this competition. So like I mean like everything is doable as long as you are like trying hard, and yeah. It was fun. And afterwards, like Phalanx now, he has like, I don't know the current situation, but he had like 3 or 4 gold medals already. So he's really like really a nice competitor at Kaggle.
Did you buy more GPUs with that, or did you take a vacation with that price?
Not really. So I invested them into the apartment in Minsk.
Okay.
So yeah, it was investment into the apartment. But yeah, speaking of GPUs, I don't really have a physical device, like I mean physical machine that I'm using. Yeah, so like all the time I was like either like using just Kaggle notebooks or some servers that are provided by like on a temporary basis. So it is kind of like a challenge. And from the other other standpoint, I think that if I like buy something like physical and like that will be standing all the time like in the room, I will spend even more time on Kaggle. So I don't want I don't want it. So yeah, I'm using like this kind of like some not so heavy servers. I mean heavy machines, and they're not located like they're not my own. Yeah.
Also, if you have monitors around, you start to game a bit more sometimes. One thing I really want to discuss is, and I think Tarnow's Vladimir Igloviko has talked about this, that you should really publish in the form of a blog or a paper your winning results, and your winning prize also produced on paper. Can you talk about why did you decide to write it, and how was it a rewarding experience for you? Do you recommend it?
Yeah, Vladimir is always like was always pushing like about like asking the top participants on Kaggle competitions to publish the papers. So because like it is kind of like from my point of view, it is a win-win situation because like you're sharing to their academic community your top solutions on Kaggle, and it is kind of like it could be called like a state of the art because like you have this new data set on Kaggle, you're
Yeah.
like achieving the top one position. So it means you're achieving top state of the art on this particular data set. And so, and from the Kaggle perspective, for the Kaggle competitors, their useful approach is that like you're like describing your solutions in terms of like more formal way. So you don't you don't need to like write just a Kaggle a post or like some short description, but you have to like rewrote the whole your like pipeline
Yeah.
with all your like novel ideas. So you have to find such something novel instead of just reusing some old stuff. And also like you have to like kind of go through the literature. So I mean like when you are like solving the Kaggle competition, I'm also like going through some papers and reading some like previous approaches. But when you're writing the paper, you should be more precise. So I mean like instead of just getting some high level idea, you have to go into detail and like get to know what was done before and what is like your novelty in this like in this area. So it was a bit hard for me. So I mean like because like beforehand I was only writing some papers like during my university studies like bachelor's thesis or master's thesis and like some local conferences and it was kind of like a completely new experience and in English language also not in Russian.
Yeah.
So and that is why like I've asked for help from Belarus. So his name is Artem Sanakoil. He's also a Kaggle he's Kaggle master and have a lot of like gold medals. And he's like at that point he was studying at the PhD program in Germany. And I asked him about like helping with the paper because like one thing is to solve the problem, but a completely another thing is to like describe it. And yeah, as I said, like to go through this literature and like yeah, structure it in the proper way. And yeah, so it's kind of a completely different experience. And we've got really nice collaboration. So I mean, like it was again like from two different areas, from like academic perspective and from like kind of like Kaggle or like productionized perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I would say that the final result was really good. And yeah, this paper was based on this solution on their problem I was describing. So this segmentation problem. So it was about like detecting the salt bodies under the Earth's surface. So yeah, and it got published, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So we have spent, I guess, about like 6 months on it,
Wow.
from the initial idea till the like publication. But yeah, it definitely like worth it. And if like at some point I've also got some top one position or like top positions in the competition, and I will get some like new approaches, I will definitely like go for it and publish it like again.
That's awesome. I'll have both your winning write up and the paper linked in the show notes for anyone who wants to read it.
Oh,
But
thanks.
I think, and on the show, I've talked about many people using Kaggle as a jump to industry. For your case, it's also a jump to academia, at least a publication, which is academia, if I may.
Yeah, that's true.
So this question is based on top of Parul's interview. In that interview, you had mentioned your to-do list sometimes goes up to 20 pages for one competition. How do you find these ideas?
Yeah. So basically, like when I'm joining the competition, I'm starting with again some initial EDA, just looking at the data. So I'm trying like during the first 2 weeks not to look at their like public ideas or public notebooks, public discussions, like in order to like generate some own ideas on the problem. And so I'm starting with like this like document with their like possible ideas, what I'm thinking about like to try. And usually it takes like about 1 page maybe, so just 1 page long with just a list of ideas what I would like to try. Afterwards, I'm starting competing and I'm starting following the forum and notebooks. and getting the ideas from there. So combining them together with what I have come up and what was shared on the forum, and it has started to grow. Like you're like pushing there like kind of like some new ideas. You're combining them together and like writing some thoughts. Also, I'm also posting there some like kind of code chunks. So if I I have found some interesting code parts that like I think could be useful in the future, I'm also passing it there. So and it starts to grow. And so yeah, at some point it achieves about like 20 or 30 pages. So I'm like now I'm competing in this like NLP competition on the Twitter data. So again, the initial goal was to learn more about like the current state of the NLP stuff, because like previously I was like approaching NLP problems like 2 or 3 years ago. So that was the era of like RNNs and like different LSTMs architectures.
Pre-transformer era, pre-transformer era.
Yeah, exactly. And so now I decided to like go for this like transformer era and like get to know. And so my current like this document with ideas consists of about like I guess about 25 pages, but it also has lots of resources on the transformers, on the bird, and all this stuff, because like I had to like start from scratch. So yeah, and afterwards I really like the point when you are, instead of like like adding the stuff there, you're starting to delete it from there. So it means that you have checked this idea and you're erasing it, and like it is becoming shorter. So it doesn't happen like always. Sometimes in the end of the competition, I just realized that I haven't tried like lots of different ideas because like I just didn't have time. But like sometimes I'm really happy when like during the final day of the competition, this like list of ideas is empty, and yeah, it is nice.
Do you prioritize the list, because time is a constraint there? How do you go through that?
Yeah, it is hard to tell. So I would say it is more like yeah, I mean, like I have a Trello board where I'm trying to like prioritize it. So it is kind of like to-do list. It is in progress, and it is like like done.
Yeah.
But it is always hard to like when you are stuck at some point and you're like spending like hours like, and it is not resolved. So I like to switch the problems. So I mean, like if I'm stuck somewhere, I just switch the domain, the problem, and try to work on some other part of the pipeline, for example, and afterwards switch back. So it is hard to tell about the prioritization. But yeah, so of course I have like some like major ideas and some minor ideas, but I would say that I'm working on them simultaneously. So it is hard for me to keep up like straight to the one idea and like provide it till the end. So I'm switching between different ideas.
Got it. And in Parul's interviews, you also mentioned that you make it a point to follow all forums and kernel discussions. There's also a trap that at least I have fallen into, which is just copying from the discussions, just using those ideas. How do you stay innovative and like also try to bring those in?
Yeah, it is exactly true. So I mean, like there are lots of like kind of like ideas, code that is shared, and like it is hard to like think kind of out of the box and generate some your own ideas.
Because
that is
you'd
why
want
like,
the edge, and you lose your competitive edge if you just keep copying from the public discussions.
yes, exactly. And so like it is like if you're just like using some public notebooks or discussions, you could get like in the medal zone. But if you want to like get more like silver medals or gold medals, you have to come up with your own ideas, because otherwise, yeah, it is like impossible to win if everyone is using their the same stuff. And so I consider it like more as a like brainstorming. So I mean, like as I said, like I'm coming up with my own ideas. Then I'm trying to combine like different opinions, and also like I just bear in mind that like everything that is shared on the forum or in the notebooks, it is not like 100% true. So sometimes like everyone is making errors, and everyone like is not sharing his like I mean his like the whole pipeline, but sharing some part and saying that it works for me. However, like you have to test it like all the time. So you could get the idea from there, but you have to test it in your own pipeline, because sometimes this idea could work for some guys, but it could not work for your particular pipeline. And also, as I said, like I'm trying to to get to this critically, like all the time. So if I reason through the notebook, I'm trying to locate some bugs maybe, or like some weak spots that I could like enhance. And so it is more like about like some kind of collaboration, I would say. So it is a nice source of like some like raw ideas that you could like build your own like thoughts, combining with your own ideas, and like correcting some minor like inaccuracies in their like in the approaches shared on the forum with your own ideas. And it's kind of like a good I would say, collaboration between like Kaggle community and your ideas.
The ideas you're brainstorming or your intuition about things that might work would have evolved with experience.
Yes. So basically, like it is. This list of ideas is basically like very specific for each problem type, because like each problem type is very different, and even each data set is very different. So and of course you're coming up with ideas from like your past experience, from your maybe some past solutions, because like I guess everyone is reusing his own like old code or old ideas, because like it allows you like to iterate faster. So it is hard to tell like what will be useful in the next competition or in the current competition. And yeah, it is more like kind of like creative process. So I really like it about like data science, that you don't know like this exact solution, and you have like to find out the way to it. And like the good news is that there are like multiple ways to approach like the same problem. So I mean, like if you're reading top solutions after the competition, you could observe that some of them are similar, but some of them are completely different, but still they're achieving their exact same scores. So it is more about like creativity and your like past experience maybe.
Okay. Again, to quote you from Parul's interview, such practical tricks are not generally described in any book or online course. So you mentioned and I'm quoting the previous interview, such practical tricks are not generally described in any book or online course. So how should one who's approaching Kaggle like you as a learning platform, how should they make the most out of their learning on Kaggle?
Yeah, so basically, like I'm still like as you said, considering the Kaggle like more as a learning platform. And like because like when you're just reading some papers or following some like online courses or like some blog posts, you're really lacking the practical experience, because like it could seem very easy when you're reading through something, and you could like get, okay, it is like easy, it is like I've got it, and yeah, okay. So I would say that I'm pretty good data scientist at that point. However, when you try to apply it on practice, you just realize that there are lots of like, first of all, there are lots of like different like tricks that you have to learn. So it is not just like calling like fit predict, but in the real project you have like to acquire the data, you have to prepare the data, you have to prepare the split. So it even differs a lot from the Kaggle competitions. However, Kaggle allows you to like polish this practical skill of like creating a good performing model. So it is like only part of the data science job. So and as I said, like after following this like blog posts or like some papers, you have to go somewhere, and for example, it could be your pet project or it could be Kaggle competition, where you will apply this like this knowledge that you have learned, because otherwise, like in a week or two, you will just realize that you know nothing about like what you were reading, because like it wasn't like supported by some practical experience, and like it is not in your like long-term memory. And so like I would say that from my perspective, it should be a combination of like reading papers, participating in parallel, and you don't have to be like super like I mean you don't have to like know everything about like the area you're like working you're solving the problem in. Because like sometimes it could be like a trap that you are trying to like learn more and more, and at some point you realize that like you know a lot of like theoretical stuff, but you don't know how to like approach it in their like in the practical setting. And so while you're evolving in some like area of learning, you have to like also like come up with some practical like experience in that area. And like after like 1 month or 2, like going back, you will just notice that you were writing like really like stupid code, or like I don't know, some like stupid ideas. And but at that point, it seems like as a very like state of the art, like I mean, like of like personally for you, it was state of the art result. And like after like 1 to 2 years, you realize that you're like really like going far away from that point. So yeah, I'm not sure that I have answered the question, but like yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of insight there as well. Another thing I want to discuss is something that came out of your Kaggle experience. You've taught a course at Data Camp. I think it's titled "Winning a Kaggle Competition in Python." How was that experience for you? And I think it's more oriented on a novice level. Could you say the outline of the course?
Yeah. So the course is on DataCamp platform. So it is kind of like a platform specifically for like data science courses, and the format there is kind of like mini courses. So it is not like a Coursera courses or ETX courses where you have like weeks of for one course.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here it is kind of like more about like 1 day courses maybe, or like of course it depends on your level, but like it is just like. The content is about like 1 hour of lectures, and the rest is more about like the practical experience. And it is done like in the small like small parts. So I mean, like you're listening to the part to the video of about like 3 to 4 minutes, and then afterwards you have the exercise exactly similar to what was described on the video. And so it is very similar to what I was describing about this, like learning about like you're learning some theoretical stuff. And then like exactly afterwards, you obtain some practical like experience how to like transform this theoretical knowledge into the code. And yeah, so this course more about like for I would say the beginners level. So it is like when you have some practical experience in machine learning, but it is not so like you're not so confident to join any Kaggle competitions. So it could be a good starting point where you could like like take some motivation and take some initial tricks to participate. And for me, the experience was really hard, I would say. So like I mean, like as I said, the content is not so huge. So I mean, like it is 1 hour of lectures and like about like 20 exercises. Mm-hmm. But like when you again like try to like describe all the like instructions in the exercise, describe like all the everything clear in the video, you just realize that like even during the development of the course, I've just get to know lots of different ideas that I've never thought about it, because like when you try to explain it, you just like think about they just like. I have never thought about it, so maybe I could describe it in a bit different way. And then you also go through some papers or books, and you just realize that your initial understanding was completely wrong. So like, and you're like kind of like, wait a minute. So like I was like applying it like for the whole like career, and now it is incorrect. So it was useful in terms of like like building this kind of like a learning path and like locating your own weak points. So when you're trying to explain to someone some new ideas or like some approach, you're just realizing that you have some weak points during the explanation, and it is completely obvious to you after you have tried it that like like after you're explaining it to someone, your understanding is also like increasing. So it was useful for me, but it was really hard. So I spent on it about like maybe 3 or 4 months. So it was not like full time, of course. So it was kind of like during the evenings or during the weekend, but still it was like it was challenging. But I'm pretty happy with the result. So yeah.
Okay, I think it's also a challenge to condense the Grandmaster level thoughts into a novice audience level. So that would have also been a challenge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, it is hard to evaluate the level of the audience. So because like it is kind of like open course, so everyone could join it,
Yeah.
and that is why it's hard to tell what will be like the level of like the average level of your audience. And for someone it could be like super easy, and for someone it could be like super hard. And you have to like kind of like combine some like simple stuff,
Hmm.
and also like some harder stuff, but to share some valuable, not just some beginners tips, but also some valuable insights.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is hard to like to project your experience on this like wide range of the audience, right?
Yeah. So this is the last question in the Kaggle segment. Could you share the secret or the story behind your Kaggle username BES? I think that's also what you use in ODS.
Yeah. So yeah, it is basically pretty easy. So it is it combines my surname. So it is Babakhin. E is in Belarusian my name is pronounced like is as Yauhen, but like in Russian it is like Yevgeny. So it is E for the like for this name, and the S is my middle name. So it is like it is Sergeyevich. So it's kind of
Okay,
like my father's name. So it is like yeah.
got it. Now, coming to, I was hoping there would be a secret superhero story there. But coming to another aspect where you're a superhero, H2O.ai, can you share your work, what things you're working on, and how do you feel about teaming up with Grandmasters at work? I think you teamed up with Gonshua and Olivier on Kaggle. How do you feel about teaming up with Grandmasters at work?
Yeah, yes. So basically, one of the reasons why I joined H2O was to like join this super team of Kaggle Grandmasters, and like to work with them both on like work projects and also on Kaggle competitions. So and like generally, like your experience when you're competing alone and when you're competing in a team is completely different. So it's just two completely different like experiences, because like now from the like from one perspective you are like getting like more help from other teammates, and
Yeah,
it could like make you a bit like relax, you know, like you're not trying so hard, because like you know like you have like good teammates, and maybe you could like skip this idea or like work not so hard. And when you're working alone, of course you're alone and you're pushing hard. So
yeah,
it is kind of like one of the drawbacks, but of course their like uh, their usefulness of such collaboration is that like you're sharing ideas, not just with you and Kaggle forum, but you're sharing ideas with your teammate who is like not just describing some high level like ideas that is shared on the forum, but like you could like discuss it, you could approach the problem from different sides, you could split it into like you know two independent parts and work on them independently, and afterwards you could ensemble it. And so you can kind of like you're uh, like like using, instead of one GPU you're using two GPUs, and
yeah.
you're like in parallel you're working on two ideas and then assembling them together. So teaming up is really a nice experience. So and when I like realized it, I guess in all my recent competitions I'm joining in a team. So because it is really helpful, and it allows you to learn much more than competing alone. Yeah, and now speaking about like this collaboration with Grandmasters, so it's kind of like the next level. So after like after I've joined H2O, like I had an opportunity to, as you said, to merge in a team with Guan and Olivier. So they're like just top guys in the Kaggle, and like I mean overall in the data science. And so it is like kind of like for me it is like invaluable experience to work with them, and to like you know to get the insights, and to like not only about the technical insights, but also like you know some specific details, how they approach Kaggle competitions, how they're organized, like their code, their like time, and all this stuff. So
Hmm.
it is really useful. So and I would say that you don't have to be a like grandmaster to join a team of grandmasters. So you could be just some just have a couple of medals on Kaggle. But when you're at a particular competition, you're in the top of the leaderboard. So you could ask someone to make a team, and it could be like so. I mean, like I have seen lots of teams with completely different levels. So I mean, like just novice on Kaggle without any medals, and Grandmaster with like a dozen of gold medals. And so as long as you are like approaching the problem and like at the moment you're like at the top of the leaderboard, you could like send invite and like join some teams. And it also could be valuable if you don't have like, you know, some like computational power. So if you like, if you have lots of ideas, if you have nice approach, but you don't have like GPUs, it is always a nice idea to team up and combine your like computational resources and to like to run your models on more resources.
Got it. Coming to work, what tasks are you working on at S2? What part of the process are you undertaking?
So at H2 I'm working also with computer vision. So as I said, I'm not really a fan of this like area, but like it is kind of like the historical situation that I'm working on computer vision. And so I'm building like AutoML tool for the images at H2. So basically we have like kind of like 3 stages of this AutoML. So I mean like not at H2, but generally like from my perspective. So like the first is like kind of like just reusing the weights from ImageNet. So you're just taking the ImageNet pre-trained models and you're applying them to your images, and you obtain these embeddings from the last layer of the network. And you could like then afterwards pass this like layers to some like, I don't know, like tree models or like some linear models, simple linear models, and you could like run your like classification and regression problem just on the embeddings. So it is like the simplest and the fastest way to like, and it is also some kind of AutoML, because like you don't have to like train any models. So the models are already pre-trained. So all you have to do is just to like write a for loop and try different like architectures and different embeddings. The second like stage from my perspective is kind of like again reusing these architectures, known architectures, but like fine-tuning them, applying different tricks, applying augmentations, different like learning tricks. I mean, like selecting learning rates, schedulers, and all this stuff, optimizers. So it is kind of like what we are usually doing at Kaggle. So when you have like this data set, you have some kind of like as a metric you want to optimize, and you have a set of tools you could apply, and you're just trying to apply it in like in different settings. But basically you're just reusing the known architectures. So like the majority of like winning competitions right now at Kaggle, I mean at computer vision, they're basically reusing some like well-known architectures or well-known approaches from the like past competitions or from the past experience.
Right.
So and only some of them are using some new architectures or something like that. And it is kind of like this sort part of AutoML from my perspective. It is about like architecture search. So now instead of like reusing and fine tuning their like the known architectures, you're trying to like come up with a completely new architecture that is suitable for your data set. So I mean like this NAS nets and Fisher nets, they all came up from this like approach of architecture search. Yeah. So when you're like have lots of data, you have some kind of like building blocks of what could be your like neural network built from, and then you're running some algorithm on top of that to generate these new architectures and like iteratively improve it on your data sets. And yeah, and then you try to make it generalizable on other data sets. Yeah, and so basically at H2 we have like this first part done. I mean, like with these embeddings. So when you transform images to the embeddings, and I'm specifically working on this second part when you're like reusing and like known architectures. Yeah, we have working prototypes right now, and I'm like testing them on past Kaggle competitions, and it is performing really well. So I mean, like for the like old competitions like 2 or 3 years ago, it is in the gold medal zone. But like for more recent competitions, like this year or last year, it is about like bronze or silver medals. But it is really performing well. And I guess like this difference between the performance on the old and new competitions also come up with this evolving of computer vision competitions on Kaggle. Yeah. Because like beforehand, like 3 years ago, when there were not a lot of like approach is known, and like you had to like come up with your own like ideas how to structure the data, what augmentations to apply. There were not so much tools, you know, to apply that you could out of the box like just call fit predict and everything works. Or like I don't know, you had to run your own like augmentations instead of using like this well-known library like augmentations right now. So yeah, and that is why like the results were a bit like lower, and that is why it is pretty easy for like as I said, for these automatic models to perform well on these old competitions. However, like now I see the trend that as I said, the majority of winning competitions are just reusing the old ideas, either from like past competitions or from some papers shared. And it is more about like, you know, what happened to the tabular data competitions when like before the like this era of like everyone using stacked ensembles of like 3 levels and all this stuff. So you had to implement it on your own, but afterwards like everyone like knew how to implement it, and like it just like it became not about like generating new ideas, but just like more computational power and more like experiment settings. So if you have more time to test their idea space, then of course you will win the competition, because like the idea space is pretty much the same for each competitor. So everyone knows like what he should try, and like the only advantage is like the computational power. And again, it is what happened to these computer vision competitions. So now like everything is known, so you know how to approach the problem. However, like the winner, like usually I would say, has more computational power than like those who like in top 50 or top 100.
Okay. So you mentioned a lot of challenges there, a lot of interesting ideas. One thing I'd like to pick is what specific features, if I may, that you bringing to driverless AI, so to speak, so that I can someday use it to win a Kaggle competition.
So I mean, like I'm trying to make it automatic for all the like parts of the solution. So I mean, like when you are like developing the pipeline for computer vision problem, you're basically starting with like you have basically 2 parts. So the first part is about like your data preprocessing, like how you prepare the data, how do you make augmentations. And the second part is about like your modeling. So what models do you use? What learning rate do you use? What optimizer, scheduler, and all this stuff. And so, I'm trying to make it automatic from both perspective. So this automatic model like uses automatic augmentations. So it is kind of like selecting the augmentations that are more suitable for this particular data set. Because like, you know, the problem with this AutoML is that this model should work for each problem type. I mean, like starting from like, I don't know, from some dog classification towards some like medical images when you are trying to locate some cancer cells, or like X-rays or X-ray images. And yeah, and initially this model doesn't know nothing about like the domain it is working with. So when you're working on it manually, you could come up with some ideas from your like domain experience, and you could like at least you could generate the list of possible transformations and what augmentations are valid or invalid for a particular data set. But the model, like the automatic model, does not about it in advance. So it tries to like kind of like come up with this like augmentation ideas during the training. So it is done automatically. And also like all this stuff about like selecting the architecture, selecting the learning rate, scheduler, optimizer. Let me think. Yeah, so I mean, like everything you're like changing manually during your experiments.
All of the decision making is taken over by the AutoML pipeline.
Yeah. So it is done automatically. Of course, the problem here is the time, because like you know, like to run these experiments, they're like usually when you're like, for example, solving Kaggle problem, you're spending like 1 or 2 months to like test all the ideas. And Hero has this time constraint, so we have like special algorithms to like kind of make this like search faster. So it is kind of like, you know, we have these building blocks that we could use, and again, this algorithm on top that tries to like combine them and enhance during the training and make it in a faster like fashion, so that you don't have to like test all the possible combinations of the hyperparameters you have. And so I would say that from my perspective, it is pretty easy, because like, you just need to come up with these like building blocks and like to combine them together. However, on the other hand, it is really hard, because like you need to this top algorithm should work, as I said, with any problem type, and you should like optimize these different parts of the pipeline to like for a particular data set without any manual intervention. So at this point, it is becoming hard. So it's kind of like devil is in the details. So like you could come up with a good baseline like in a couple of hours, but at the same time you could now import like PyTorch and also write this like a pipeline like I would say maybe not in an hours, but like in a couple of days. Yeah. But still you will come up with this baseline solution. And afterwards we need like as a person like iterates on his own initial solution, like in a similar fashion, this automatic model also reiterates on this baseline and try to enhance it with new hyperparameters.
Got it. So another thing I want to discuss, and one of the challenges you mentioned is time. Outside of that, vision is more mature compared to other fields, generally speaking. And in AutoML, it's the reverse, if I may. So vision is more challenging. Do you agree? Do you see any other challenges with integrating vision into AutoML, generally speaking?
Yeah. So I mean, like it is. There are not so much tools for like automatic image problems. I mean, like for both like classification, segmentation, object detection. And so, I forgot to mention that we are working with these different problem types. So we're not just working on classification, but also like segmentation and object detection. And so, as you said, like there are lots of like already like out of the box solutions on the like GitHub, publicly shared by like by different companies, pre-trained models. So, and it allows you, as I said, like to build these simple baselines like really like in a couple of days. So you don't have to spend like lots of time writing your own code. So everything like is more or less done. And as you said, like the area is more like approaching the point where it is like trying to like go deeper instead of going wider. So because like we're covering really lots of different problems. Yeah. And now it is more about like exploring more like and exploring new architectures, exploring some learning tricks, and it is like it is a problem for the automatic models, because like as I said, like the baseline is easy, but when you try to like try to go deeper, it is becoming like extremely hard to like to make it work. And so I would say that this field will be evolving. So I mean, like this automatic computer vision problems will be evolving, because like we have everything for that. So except for like like if someone is trying to like run these models, they will have to like have this like good computational resources and like strong computational resources. But like otherwise, like everything is known, and I guess that there will be like becoming more and more tools that will allow you to like not to write code at all. So you'll just click fit predict, and like you'll get your very good solution out of the box for like any image problem type. Okay. And like I think that like all the companies, I mean like not all the companies, but majority of the companies who are like working like internally with the computer vision problems, they're also like developing their own pipelines. And so I mean like and of course internally they're also like trying to like make it more or less automatic. So and I guess there are lots of such like such tools like internally, but they're just not shared publicly, because it's kind of like internal development. But it is kind of like a natural next step when you have all the building blocks known. and you know like how to combine them, then it is easy to like make this process automatic.
Makes sense. Um, another aspect that I'd like to discuss outside of Kaggle and outside of work is your life outside Kaggle. I discovered you were active on Dance Sport Alliance. Were you an active competitor there as well?
Yeah, it was kind of like a long story. So I was I used to dance for like I guess 13 years, I guess. So it was a huge period of my life. I guess from the like age of 7 till 20. So like for this 13 years, I wouldn't
Is
say that I was.
is your work online anywhere? Can we check out your videos or on YouTube
Uh,
or somewhere?
I guess no. I guess no.
Okay.
They're only like on my devices, so I'm
Okay.
not showing them. So I mean, like I wouldn't say that I was too like successful in that area, but yeah. So I would say it was kind of like semi-professional like area. So yeah, I was participating in some kind of like competitions also, and yeah, and also got some like lots of different medals and all the stuff. But I would say that it was on the professional level. And at that point, when I decided to quit dance, I mean, like there was kind of like a choice between like whether to proceed and invest more time in the dancing, or like go and like invest more time in the work, or like or in learning in the university. And so yeah, I decided to proceed with this learning and working path, yeah, instead of dancing.
Okay. And another aspect that I want to discuss, and you have also worked at a gaming company, but if let's say in the pandemic you were only allowed to keep one game with you, what game would you pick? Your favorite game of all time?
It is a hard one. So I mean, like I would probably choose let me think, maybe. So I mean, like on day-to-day day-to-day like playing activities, I play usually like some like sports simulators like FIFA or NHL. But I wouldn't say that it is my favorite game. So it is
Okay,
more about like day-to-day activity.
let's say
And so
one favorite game of all time and one favorite game of the recent days for
okay, so
better.
so so, so of all time, I would say it is Crash Team Racing.
Okay.
So it is kind of like their one of their like games with Crash Bandicoot, and it was on my like first PlayStation first when I was,
PS1.
I don't know, like yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it was on my PS1, and it was I guess I was about like 7 or 8 years old, and so it is like a really like it was a really nice game at that point. And moreover, they have like made a new release for this game like on PS4 right now, and so I'm
Okay.
also like playing it right now on PS4 with like new graphics and like new engine. So moreover, you could play online. So again, like when I was a child, I saw that I'm really like a professional at this game. And when you try to compete it online, again,
Online.
it is similar to like machine learning
Kaggle.
competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like when you're working locally, it seems that you're like a super cool data scientist. But when you're trying to like go to the leaderboard, you are like find yourself at the bottom of the leaderboard. And so yeah, and it is a bit like demotivating for me. So but yeah, it is nice like to see how people like are playing as a game that is like 20 years old. And yeah, it is super cool. And yeah, and for more recent games, I would probably name FIFA 20. So I mean, like, because I'm playing it like a lot. And so yeah.
Okay, and with that amazing comparison between games and Kaggle, I'd like to end the interview. Before ending, what would be the best platforms to connect with you?
So I mean, like, there okay, I'm thinking a lot of different sources. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, do you mean the source of connection for their like communication, or
Yeah, if the audience would like to just follow your work.
Okay. So I mean, like, I don't have a lot of sources to like to share it. So I mean, like, I'm not like making any like Twitter channel or like Medium blog posts. So I'm not so like active, I would say. And so probably like the best way is just like to like approach or like look at my activity on Kaggle and like go there, or like again on the open data science. So when we are sharing there somewhere, or like just like for general communication. So it would be the best point. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yauhen, for joining me on the series and for all of your insights.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to give it a review or feel free to shoot me a message. You can find all of the social media links in the description. If you like the show, please subscribe and tune in each week to Chai Time Data Science.